I'll know that one guy, when something is popular, they just have to dislike it just because it's popular. Well, guess what? That guy has been me. That's why I literally, like last year in 2024, just binged and watched the entire Game of Thrones. That's why I'm like barely into the Wano arc of One Piece. That's why I've never watched, what's that thing with the breathing? What is it? Death? No. Damn it. I can't remember what it... They just made a movie, it was super freaking popular, and I have no idea. The point is, I don't want to be that guy. So here we are, I've ran from doing this, but here we go, tier maker videos. And why not start with one of my absolute favorite shows from childhood leading into like now that I'm almost 30. Literally, I just rewatched a couple episodes the other day, just because there's nothing else like it. Nothing else gives the Avatar The Last Airbender vibes like ATLA. You can tell I'm new to recording because I am choppy as heck, but we're gonna get better. I hope. Seriously though, I feel like everyone has a podcast, everyone does tier maker videos, and I don't want to just give you the same crap that everyone else is giving you, but I guess maybe I do. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe. For those of you who are like nosy and know that I have a TikTok by the same name, Davon Raymond X, if you go into like my like profile description thing, I just say that I'm a real weeby surfer, which is very true. It's as accurate as you can get to describe me, and you can add a little asterisk for like poor hygiene, no money, and obsessed with waifus. And I'm genuinely not obsessed with waifus. I just love to see 2D, double D action. Dang, do people script these videos? Because that would definitely help, because I am 3 minutes in and I'm completely lost. Double D, double D's, double D's. Anime. Right, so yes, one of my most famous videos was of me doing an anime, kind of like anime hairstyle Riz take. It's supposed to be like a joke because Riz and young people and I love anime, and it was fun. It was fun, you know? The thing is, I don't know if I really want Davon Raymond X to be the home for like surfing stuff and just normal vlogs and also anime stuff. It just feels like a big, messy, ugly mess. And if anyone ever clicks on my channel, they're gonna be like, what, I don't care. I saw a weeby video, and now I see a vlog. And I can understand that. So, I might, maybe, start making these videos on another channel. What do you guys think? Have any fun channel names? I got one in my mind that I kinda wanna do, but it's like, you got, I don't know. Just comment below, let me know, but I'm gonna be using the old noodle. Try to figure that out. Today's video is brought to you by dumpster diving. That's right, I dumpster dive. How else would I get this expensive, delicious, probiotic soda? Still tastes like raccoon. You know, some of you won't believe that I dumpster dive to get this. Some of you are bakas. The rest of you can see the desperation in my face. And the poor hygiene. That tastes real free. You know, suddenly I'm not feeling all that good. I'm gonna shoot to the bathroom, and then we'll get back to the video. Why did that taste like SpaghettiOs? Alright, let's get into the Avatar The Last Airbender tier list. And no, I did not make this. I just went to tiermaker.com and I looked up just popular things because I was too lazy to do any of the work. My channel is all personality, baby, and glue and sticky tack. Just kind of mush it together, and there you go, hit upload. This was made, I think, by like a fandom website. I'll leave a link to the maker in the description of this video. Let's get right into it. There are 47 characters on this screen. Way too many characters, but let's just do it. I am a massive fan. I don't know if I'm like the #1 Avatar The Last Airbender fan that you've ever met. Obviously not, because there's no like, you know, tattoo or whatever. I don't have any cool Airbender tats, but I remember in the past, I think everyone has probably said, oh yeah, I would totally do that. You know, it's like, no you freaking wouldn't. Who wants to go bald? If you are bald, you know, maybe, but who wants to do that? That's ridiculous. Alright, kicking off with #1, Aang, or Ong, M. Night Shyamalan! It'd be nice to just pop him in S tier because he is the Avatar and he has saved so many people and yada yada yada. You know, that's great. But here's the thing about the Avatar. I love that the Avatar is who they are, like, in relationship to society. That's cool. What's not so cool is that they basically are forced to do this path. It's just like, you know, the prince who becomes, you know, the king or whatever it is. It's just kind of like a lineage thing, and it's like, okay, you were born to be this, you have to, your life is set up for you, and that's why I don't really want to give Aang, like, all of this credit in the world, because everything good about him, okay, that's not true, but a lot of the problems that he had to face and overcome were laid in his path because of who the world needed him to be. So Aang as a character, he's funny. He's a, you know, funny boy who has crushes, or, you know, who had a crush on a girl, you know, who has dabbled in lying and deception and fighting and friends and all of this stuff. So I don't know, if I give this long of a description for every character, Aang deserves it though. I'm gonna put him in A tier, because if I just give him S tier, then it's just like the writing put him in S tier, and that is not what we want to do. So we're gonna put Aang in A tier, because honestly, that's where he belongs. Moving on, Aang's freaking, you know, animal guide. I think in an episode he called it an animal guide. If this video makes it on the internet, I don't even know how, because I am just not recording while I'm recording, and where does his animal guide belong, and why do you feel so awkward that I'm calling him animal guide, okay? His name is Appa, but if you recall that Aang, when he talked to Roku, I think in the spirit realm or something, he said that Roku, his dragon was Roku's animal guide, and he compared it to Appa. So yes, that is what he is. He's not a familiar or whatever these witchy Wiccans want him to be. It is written. Anyway, Appa has had some clutch scenes. He just came out of nowhere, saved everyone multiple times. He's friendly. He's funny. He really is the tank of Team Avatar. He really is the tank. The guy who will just save everyone, and everyone loves him. And when he's had hard days, people miss him, and people feel and take care of Appa. So we're gonna put Appa. Dang, I don't even know if I can put anybody in S tier, because I don't know, Appa. I gotta put you in A tier. I don't even know who belongs in S tier. I think I have to really. It has to be like strike me as like you are an S tier person, because otherwise, well, I don't know. Alright, next we have Azula, which, for a villain, I want to put her in S tier for, like, villains, for, like, bad people. But then you start to learn about her history. You start to learn about what she's been through, her mother, her relationship with, you know, her brother, and being royals, and being compared and challenged, and being around fire and death and war, and just being taught that you are the superior, you know, bending element, and you are meant to be, you know, the spearhead of the world, and you're meant to wipe out all other types of people, or, you know, or have dominion over them. It's like she, much like Aang, was led on a particular path. And you could say the same thing for Zuko, which he was, but he was, as we saw in, like, those scenes that show Zuko as a young boy, he was different. He was less cold, less manipulative, much more honest with his feelings, much more upfront, and you could see that in the scenes with his mother and with Azula. So I want to give, as we all do, want to give Zuko, like, way more credit than Azula. Azula had the chance to be better, but let's be honest, if Zuko hadn't been put on a path, you know. But here's the thing. Zuko wanted to be in the war room, and then he spoke out against his father, against the general, which if he speaks out against the general's plans, that means he's speaking out against the Fire Lord, who was his father, which sucks for Zuko, because then he had to face his father in Agni Kai in a fire battle, and then Zuko, as you guys know, he didn't put his hands up, he didn't put his dukes up, and then his father burned his face. Because Fire Nation, that's why. Not even the Fire Nation, just because Fire Lord, Ozai, or whatever, he's just a crazy guy. That's it. He's just a psychopath. That's it. He just wants to conquer and believes his influence is going to be what is needed for the world. And who knows? Maybe he had a little tumor growing in his brain. We don't know what. We don't know. We don't know. Anyway, that was a long tangent for Azula. She is such an interesting character. It's like I want to see her. She's a badass. Man, I'm gonna put her in A. I'm gonna put her in A. And if something happens later where I gotta move her up to S, okay, fine. But just for her whole story, I think A. She's a great antagonist. She's awesome. You know, when I was younger, I liked the voice actor. I still like the voice actor, like the tone of her voice, the aggression, the authority in her voice. It's like it's very different. So I like it. I love it, honestly. It's dang. Do I want to put her in S? No, we'll leave her in A. Next we have was it Bato of the Water Tribe? I believe. I don't know why I just put him in A, because he does not belong in A. Bato of the Water Tribe. And by the way, I do not have a list of these characters' names. I don't. By the way, I'm just going to drop him in C. Honestly, I'm going to put him in C, because he was there when. You know, he was there for the ice dodging scene where he was wait, that's not his. Well, oh god, wait, is that his father? Oh god, if I'm getting this wrong, then that is awful. Is that their father? I gotta Google this. No, it's not their father. It's not their father. That's Bato of the Water Tribe, right? So Bato helped Sokka become a man by going through the trials of ice dodging, where Aang, Sokka, and his sister Katara, along with Bato, he did nothing, he just stood on the boat, while the three of them were in control of whatever, I'm doing this, what are they in control of? Just, they're making the ship go and go through the water and dodge the icebergs, but they didn't have any icebergs, so they were dodging rocks, and it was really cool, because Sokka, he doesn't really get a lot of, like, opportunity to be, like, a boss in the like earlier stages of the show, so it's cool to see as he develops. He's not only developing, you know, leadership skills, but he's also understanding his, you know, the power that his sister and Aang hold, and that's really cool in my opinion. So in this episode, in this trial of ice dodging, you can see Bato is the catalyst for teamwork, with Sokka at the helm, and that's really cool, because you then see a lot more, in certain situations, you'll see that just basically Sokka taking the more leadership role for the rest of the show. So honestly, I love that. He can't be the Avatar, he's not the best in the world, but he does mature in his Sokka way, and I love that, you know. Never in any way that it's like he's protecting his little sister. I don't think there's ever a situation that there's like a genuine threat to Katara where then Sokka steps in. Not that he doesn't want to, but it's either they're separated or they're like, you know, Katara's going against a bender or something. But I think that would have been nice to see Sokka have to defend and actually successfully fend off an enemy who was attacking his sister after his, like, development arc. I think that would have been really cool. But it's all good because, you know, it was 4 seasons, and what do you expect? You're not going to get every interaction you could possibly imagine. That's what fanfic is for. Wow, that was more about Sokka than about Bato. But, yes, if Bato of the Water Tribe didn't show up when he did, you know, or at all, then Sokka never would have gone through this confidence-building experience. Not to mention that Aang, he wouldn't have had this opportunity to conceal and hide and lie to his friends, and then be able to come out of that lie and be helpful and, be honest with his friends. So, I love that. I love that. So, Bato, we're going to put you in C. Next, honestly, I wanted to start the video off with the cabbage guy because who cares? A running joke does not put you up in S tier. A running joke, he never has, if you want, you can go watch I'm sure someone has done the iceberg video of the iceberg lettuce guy, the cabbage guy. Maybe he's had, little like Easter eggs about him. I don't know. I've never watched any. I don't know. So we're just going to pop him in D tier. No offense. It's probably a common rating for this guy. I feel like people just put him up just because it's funny. Like, oh yeah, my cabbages. Just like the my leg guy from SpongeBob. Yeah, S tier, S tier. That's stupid. No, he was comedic relief, but honestly, when I was younger, watching the cabbage guy, I just like rolled my eyes. Like, can we just get back to bending? Like, can we get back to like the main story, please? Who cares about this guy? Like, screw him. Anyway, moving on. Okay, we have what's the boom guy? What's the boom guy? I forget his name. I gotta Google this. What did Sokka Boom Man? Sokka Boom Man? What's his name? Combustion Man. What did I say? Boom? My god. Okay. So, Combustion Man. Yeah, he was a very cool enemy. He had a unique power, and it's unfortunate that it was used for bounty hunting. It's the type of bending that is very, very easily seen as like evil or whatever. It would be nice if there was because it's just such a messy power. It's not it's not precise. It's not like you can't use it. It's literally for destruction. So it kind of sucks. He was dealt a bad hand, and it's cool that they kept that concept of like a mind explosion firebender type of guy in Korra, the next Avatar story. So I like that, and it was a cool concept. And for all the carryover stuff that happened from like Avatar: The Last Airbender to Korra, The Legend of Korra, it just seems like it really wasn't necessary to carry that element of bending over. It really wasn't necessary. It was cool as like a surprise thing in the past, but to carry it over, it's like, yeah, okay, like, oh, remember we did this thing? You liked it? Well, we're giving it to you again, So before it was unique and interesting, and now it's just a thing, I guess. I'm gonna put him in B tier. I don't even like him. I want to put him in C tier. Actually, it's my tier list. I'm putting him in C tier. Sorry, but I don't really like him. I just, He, aside from his little gimmick, what is he? He's got a metal hand, So does Thanos. Whatever. Moving on. All right, so this the scumbag. This is gonna be easy. D tier, because he's the guy who stole Appa, and even though honestly, hold on, he stole Appa, so D tier for that. But what he did in doing that, he was a little shit. He's a little, daddy's boy, pussy boy, whatever. Like, we don't like that type of guy in real life. A lying, abusive type of type of mindset. Like, no one wants to be around that at all. But what this scumbag did, he allowed for the lost days of Appa to happen. What he did triggered events that really helped move the story along. So, and ultimately, even though he's a scumbag to us, he just saw a beast in his area where he lives, and he thought, let me just capture this thing for money because that's what we do. So I can't hate on him for doing what they do in the desert. So I almost want to put him in B tier because of the effect that he had, but he's such a little shit that we're going to leave him in C tier. Alright. Next we have, is this Monkeyatsu? Is that Monkeyatsu? Alright, Monkeyatsu. we don't really hear too much from him. He's kind of funny, silly. He's funny. He's Aang's mentor. You know, we don't really learn too much about him. It just sucks that we see that he's dead, and he did have a big impact on Aang when he was younger, but we don't see a ton of that. So, and honestly, Aang doesn't really make a ton of references to him. He makes references to the monks, and aside from, you know, particular positions that each monk might take, meaning, you know, if you guys know, the Pope was just in the news recently because we got a new one, Pope Francis passed, and a lot of people in the news are talking about whether or not he's going to be more, you know, conservative or liberal or whatever. So I would say that Monk Gyatso is definitely more of a liberal air monk, air nomad. So, man, but he wasn't so important to the story, and his character really was just a nice elderly man. So that's basically it. He's not, I'm going to leave him in D tier, though I have much love for him. He doesn't really do much to drive the story. We do see Aang awaken his, you know, avatar state because he sees Monk Gyatso is dead. So that did affect the story, and it did kind of like add another layer of trauma and another layer of like, hey Aang, you've been gone for 100 years. This is the result, buddy. So, man, he deserves better. I'm gonna put him in C. Nah, I'm gonna leave him in D. But you have to know that I have a lot of love for him. All right, moving on to Sokka's father, or Sokka Katara. What is her last name? Do we ever find out? I have no idea. I guess I don't know. Does anybody have a last name in this freaking show? Sorry, I'm just realizing I don't think anybody has a last name. Okay, yeah, so the father, we're just gonna put him in D tier, honestly. He really didn't do anything in this show. He was just, his absence was, you know, what affected Sokka Katara, and then he eventually, I mean, there's this whole scene where Sokka and the gang, they try to save, you know, they go through this whole like jailbreak thing, and it's crazy. Honestly, he was important for a period of time, but for the like arc of the story, like the entire story of Avatar: The Last Airbender, he really was, it was more like his absence was something. And by the way, when he was taken by the Fire Nation and all that, again, it was his absence which was what, you know, drove the characters. It was never him being there or doing anything. It was, well, again, debatable when they did like that siege on the Fire Nation. They did do that, but I don't want to give him a lot of credit because, again, he was more impactful when he wasn't on screen. Go figure that. So we're just going to put him in D and leave him in D. Next, okay, this is the first, does she deserve it? Yes. I would have put, Hanma, what was her name? Bloodbender, what's her name? Old lady, what's the old lady's name? What's the old lady? What's her name? Hama, right, okay. Right, so Hama, I'm going to put her in S tier because she had a tragic story. She was taken by firebenders and put in jail because she, you know, was a bender. And over time, she used her skills to realize that she can manipulate the blood in the rats and then eventually manipulate the blood in her captors, which then allowed her with this new, albeit forbidden socially, but this new way of showing how benders can influence, you know, other people. It's incredible. You have healing with, you know, water benders, you have flight with air benders, you can build a castle, you know, with earth benders, and with fire benders, I mean, you can cook food, you can do all types of stuff with fire, and then you have this woman. I mean, even Combustion Man was like cool, but it was more like the sprinkles on top of a cupcake like the icing is there and the cupcake is there and Combustion Man is just sprinkles. But Hama reinvented the cupcake. She deserves, now albeit, once she escaped the prison, then she went crazy. But honestly, if you're in prison over being a waterbender and they treat you like garbage and you're amongst rats, I can understand that you are no longer sane. But I'm not justifying the terrible acts that came when she escaped prison, but, I mean, she was in prison for no freaking reason and treated terribly for years. So, let's be honest, that's not very good. Also, just in the spirit of being honest, I don't know if she was in there for years. I think she was in there for a while. Could have been a year plus, could have been multiple years. But yes. And yes, also, as far as the story goes, massively impactful for one of the main characters, Katara. We all know the character development that she got to go through when she realized that she was learning these new waterbending abilities to get water from the air and to get water from the plants around you, and how devastating that can be when you have all this beautiful field of flowers and you just rip the life right out of them and leave nothing but dead plants. You can't just put the water back in and they're alive. It is a permanent, once you do it, you've done it. It's corrupt. So, and that kind of idea sticks with her when she learns about bloodbending from Hama in this battle, or she learns about it and then refuses to do it. And in the battle, she ends up being forever changed by Hama, because Katara says, you know what, in order to save my friends, because they're put in direct peril by Hama, I have to bloodbend. I have to do it. And then she did it. So that was a lot, and that was one of the things that affected Katara as she matured over time, having other opportunities to inflict massive damage with bloodbending, and then she does bloodbend one more time with somebody, and it was a coming to Jesus moment. She realized that, you know, I let my anger get to a point, and I said I'd never do it, and here I am doing it because I'm fueled with rage, because I'm hunting down the man who killed my mother. So I can understand just kind of throwing morals out the window because you are enraged by the thought of getting hands on the guy who destroyed your life and your family, at least from a young woman's perspective. So you know what? Whatever. But I want to give Hama the S tier position because she actually deserves it. Moving on. I forget this guy's name. Man. I always forget. Haru. Alright. So, Haru, he was never that good. D character. D. His story was interesting, but he's not a strong bender. He didn't really do much for the story. He was just somebody to give Katara this looking in the mirror moment to realize that other people are suffering similarly and that she helped them to suffer less. So it's cool. I don't really remember him having any huge impact really in the show, so we're gonna leave him at D, though I do appreciate him. And of course, guys, I love this show, so I appreciate basically every character, but not every character deserves to be high up on the tier list. That's really all it is. Moving on, Uncle Iroh. Dang, I feel like a lot of people want to throw him right up in S, but I'm gonna leave him in A tier, and the reason is because he is a boss. I don't really need to describe Iroh or really talk about much about his impact because he is a constant in the show and he is interacted with each and every main character. Now, I don't remember Sokka and Iroh having any banter, to be honest. I don't know if they ever spoke. To each other. Did that ever happen? I feel like no. I really don't think it ever happened. That's interesting. Sokka and Iroh, did they ever talk? Huh. Anyway, but yeah, he's massively impactful to basically all the main characters. He is a main character in some respects. The man, he was at war. And here's the thing. He was at war. He was backing the efforts of a fire tyrant who happened to be his brother. And I don't like that. So Iroh, actually, you're going to go down to B, because that's where he really belongs. Really, he probably belongs in C. The character who he became is an S-tier character. His influence is an S-tier character. Who he was before we met him is a bad guy. He's part of the problem that is the state of the world in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, sorry, but you don't just get to climb to the top. Yes, Hama is bad, and so is Iroh in some respects, but Hama, and by the way, I want to give Iroh points because he did teach Zuko how to redirect lightning, and he has a lot of redeemable qualities, but who knows of the tragedies that he caused. And he cries about his son dying in war. How many sons did he freaking be in charge of dying? I mean, I'm sorry, Iroh. How many freaking people, how many Earth Kingdom people had to suffer and die because he wanted to play Dragon of the West? I'm sorry. That doesn't compute. That doesn't make sense for S tier. It literally doesn't. You don't. He failed at taking over a nation, or the capital of a nation, or whatever, the Earth Kingdom. He failed to take over the Earth Kingdom, and then he becomes a good guy when he loses. I don't know. I'm sorry, but it's just, it doesn't add up to me. Moving on. I forget this guy's name. Forget his name. He was the firebending teacher. Oh, man. Aang's firebending teacher. Forget his freaking name. He did have that cool little moment with Avatar Roku, which is really cool because it shows that Roku can make himself, the past life of the Avatar can make themselves known and reappear, if they choose, if the situation is right. And even though the whole Aang firebending arc, it was like a failed arc before he learns firebending from Zuko eventually, it was a failed arc. It was an interesting attempt, and I don't know why he came into the mix, why Roku came into the mix, then. Why would he come into the mix at that point? It was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. The Avatar shows up, or the previous Avatar shows up, and it's all building towards this massive thing, oh my god, it's all happening right now, just for it to just be a lesson. And for Aang not even to, just multiple lessons happen with his first introduction with the element of fire. It's cool, but I don't know. I'm gonna put him in B tier because he eventually was very helpful later on, and he's cool. He looks cool. He has that disappearing fire, disappearing act fire move, which is cool. I don't know. I like him. And I wish we had more screen time with him. But everything that we saw of him, even though he was stubborn in the beginning, he was stubborn because he didn't want to see another student of his become General Zhao. Yeah, so moving on, we have Jet. Jet is a C tier. He's a cool character, but he really only mattered in a couple of episodes, and he really didn't do anything impactful. Again, only that little arc that he was a part of was he something to really pay attention to. Now later on, Jet comes back, and then he's brainwashed and all this, so he's just used as a device to bring the story along. He was really cool when you first met him. Kind of a prick, kind of a cool guy. I didn't like that Katara was falling for him because, I wanted Katara to be with Aang. So we're gonna put him in C tier because he was a victim. So many of these people were affected by the Fire Nation. So many of these people had normal lives that were then turned to crime and crap because, you know, killers with fire shooting from their hands and spears in their hands and ships and superior, you know, weaponry just show up and influence everyone. So it's tough to really hate Jet, even though, because, you know, the world made him. That's the truth. The world made him like that. Moving on, the young girl that liked, I forgot her name, who likes, oh wait a minute, is that the girl who, wait a minute, I'm confusing this girl. There's a girl who liked Aang, it's not her, like the crazy like buck teeth girl I think it was. She's very cute, she works with the psychic lady, whatever, that was cool. But this is the girl, I think, who was a fan of Zuko after he moved to the Earth Kingdom, Ba Sing Se. She was cool, but honestly, she's a D character because she really didn't matter in any way. Like, yeah, we got to see that Zuko still has feelings for May, so she really, again, was just there to give us a new perspective on one of the main characters, so she's okay. She's not really all that important. Next we have, I want to say Mei Li, not Mei Li. What's her name? What is her name? Shoot. Oh man, okay. ATLA, Earth Kingdom Lady. Oh, Judy. Hi. Hi, I'm Judy. Alright, so Judy, I'm running out of space for D. I'm gonna put her in the D tier. It's crazy, just, like, you could tell all these D tier characters, they were there and affected the main people, but they're just not, you know, they're just not, like, so amazing, you know, they're there, and they're memorable, you know, but she wasn't all that great. Then we have that hunter lady who had like that Shearshu? How do you say it? Shearshu animal. She was cool. Her animal guide had an interesting concept, helped move the story along. I think she was cool. She showed up. I don't know. She really wasn't hugely impactful, but she's definitely. Okay, here's the thing. Man, this is tough. She's better than D tier. I don't know if she's quite B tier. So I'll leave her in C tier for now. Next, we have Katara. Dang. A tier. Definitely A tier because she has shown so much growth. I love her bending, just gets better and better and better and better. And, you know, her character development, she becomes more mature over time. Though she does make a lot of mistakes too. Some poor choices like stealing from the pirates. You know, I mean, it was, I think it's a good choice to put her in A. She is, in my heart, an S tier character. But with respect to everybody else, I gotta leave her in A. Moving on, we have King Boomy. King Boomy, yes, he's jumping right to S tier. The dude is 112 years old, just about, right? Because Aang's 112, so they were friends when Aang was a kid. He's 100 plus years old. He really helped. Like, when you saw King Boomy, every time you see him, it's always like, just the energy, it's weird, it's different, you know. When you first see him, it's weird. He has such a presence. He's so powerful and unique. So I want to just, from the first time you see him to the last time you see him to every time you hear about him to the way his kingdom looks, look at the earth, look at Ba Sing Se. Look at it. Look, like, they don't call it Na Sing Se. But seriously, I'm assuming this dude had a huge, you know, hand, literally, in the creation and building of that place. So, I just want to... Oh, wait. Now I'm confusing Ba Sing Se for Omashu. Oh, God. Oh, God. Wait, I don't know what is what now. Shoot. Omashu or Bossing Say? I can't remember. Okay, well, wherever you live with all the shoots and the cool like music that you guys hear when they're shooting down the mail system, I love that. So I think is it Bossing Say? Dang it. I think it's Omashu. I can't remember. I don't know. We're not gonna Google it. We're just gonna move on. Next, you have the Earth King. Earth King, you're D tier because you really just don't matter, and you were shown to not matter. A lot. Really, Long Feng is more influential, than the freaking Earth King. Which we will put him right now, Long Feng. We'll put him in... man, Long Feng. He gets outdone by Azula. Long Feng, I'm gonna put him in B tier. It's weird because he's every bit as influential as Iroh when he was at the peak of his influence. He is pretty awesome. And part of me, Long Feng is an S tier in my heart, but I can never put him above Azula, and I'm certainly not going to put him above, the Dai Li are S tier. Long Feng is B tier. It just is what it is. And I don't see the Dai Li on here, but just so you guys know, that's where I would put the Dai Li in S tier because they are badass. Now, do they lose sometimes? I can't remember. I think some of them got taken out by Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Team Avatar. Yeah, but generally speaking, they are like the shinobi, the ninja of the world of Avatar. So I love that. And the Dai Li are badasses. So S tier for Dai Li. For Avatar Kyoshi, Kyoshi Island, Kyoshi Day. There's so many things that come up. The Kyoshi Warriors. There's so many things that pop up over the seasons of this show. How did I forget Avatar Kyoshi? Now, she's cool. I think we're just gonna have to put her in honestly, C tier, because she really wasn't all that influential. She had some effects with that one town where they wanted to, do that Avatar Day and burn, your Avatar killed our king, which she did admit to, blasting and doing whatever she did. But ultimately, you don't really see her, Avatar Roku had more of an effect on the story, direct influence on the characters. Not that Avatar, well, that's tough. The Kyoshi Warriors, you know what? She can go in B tier because she has a lasting effect. She does, and it does drive the story. The Kyoshi Warriors, they are there in multiple instances throughout the story, and you know what? She deserves at least B tier. So Avatar Kyoshi, B tier. I think I'm really just salty because she admitted to her testimony in court led Aang to be boiled in oil, or that was his sentence or whatever. So I didn't really like that. Then again, that guy, the court guy, the whatever, Your Honor, that guy, whatever you call him, he was a real pain in the ass, a real piece of work. So honestly, I only disliked Kyoshi because she sold Aang out, but ultimately she did it because she needed to do it, because she needed to be honest, and that's who she was. Strong, tall, huge feet, powerful, protects her people, and doesn't lie. I love that. Alright, so next we have, forget his name, but we're just going to do the both of them together. I forget his name, but he's basically a D tier character because he's really not all that important. And then same for this little guy, and then same for where is he? All of these the Jet friends, the friends of Jet, the little squad, they're all D tier. None of them are particularly Longshot, Smellerbee, and what is it, Tiny or something like that. In that order. Longshot, he doesn't speak, but he's seen as smart and someone to look up to for Smellerbee, who is a girl but appears almost androgynous, to be honest, which is fine. A lot of young girls with whatever haircuts look like young boys, and vice versa, because the hair really makes a big difference, depending on what culture you're from. And, just, you don't have a lot of facial features developing, no chin hair, as a kid, so, But she gets confused for a boy by Iroh in the story, and, it's cool, because they give, honestly, I don't see how they're much different from Smellerbee is very similar to Toph. Toph is not mistaken for a boy, but they are both young women who are tough and want to be perceived as what they are and not what people tend to look at them. People look at Smellerbee, oh, it's a young girl. Same for Toph. Toph is like, but I may be blind, but I'm not helpless. I'm strong. I'm independent, and I may look like a boy, but never mind what you think of me. I know what I am. So I love that about Smellerbee, and I love that about Toph. Next, my absolute favorite character. Okay, that's not true, but May. I gotta put her in S tier. Oh my god, I know. Some of you are kind of like, what? Why would you put May? Why does she doesn't deserve to be? Yes, she does. She's a badass. She stays around royalty. She loves her nation, her family. She has an amazing ability with throwing stars and throwing knives. Her style is cool. Her voice, I do like the goth type. Who doesn't? But everything about her, I would see that and be like, yeah, I want... Zuko's friggin' lucky. No wonder he's interested in her. Everything about her is awesome. She may have been evil, but she was a cool antagonist. She ultimately was just someone who had a big heart and was very affected by, the tyrannical, princess that was her friend and the leader in her friend group. So May, I really, really, really think she's awesome. Her character design is cool. Again, I like that type of vibe, so I'm definitely leading with my heart on this one. And she ultimately betrays her friend and scary friend princess. She betrays Azula because she loves Zuko. That's incredible. That I love that. She could have not done that and I'd still love her, but the fact that she did that solidifies her S tier position. What, you guys think I didn't get this from the dumpster? I did. I fully did. Fully did. Next, you have the guy, the dad, who repurposed was it the Northern or Eastern Air Temple or something like that? Whichever the Air Temple was. You know what? He wasn't all that cool of a character. He helped his son, which was cool. He helped Aang. He helped the war effort, but he was a scumbag. You know what? He was a scumbag who was trying to help his dad. He's a scumbag because he gave weapons and and whatever he did. He helped the Fire Nation to hurt a lot of people. That I didn't like. So, but he also probably did that because he was forced to. So, yeah, that burp tells me D tier. I like his son. I like what he did as far as the good stuff, but he wasn't great. He wasn't even, average. He was just a below average guy who was a smart guy, inventor. His personality gives him points. His personality is a B tier. Talking to the guy, as we see him do interactions with people, he's got a B tier personality, but his influence in the story, God knows how many people died because of him. God knows how many people died directly because of him. So D tier, D tier. And some of you may be thinking, why would I put him in D tier along with the Jet Li, group? Because the Jet Li, did I say Jet Li? Jet's crew is in D tier because they were interesting, but not really that interesting and not really that important to the story. And they were there along for the ride, but they really didn't mean much. That is why they are in D tier. And Same for that dad. He was there, he did some stuff, he did more crap stuff than good. D tier. Moving on, Momo, he came clutch. He came clutch. He came in clutch often. He came in clutch often. Damn. He really did come in clutch multiple times. If it weren't for Momo, I don't know. We're going to put him in A tier. Not because of any other reason than his impact on the story. That is why. His impact on the story. If it were just him, like just Momo, D tier. I don't really give a crap. What he did to help the gang, the crew, over the seasons of the show? I mean, crawling into... Like, Aang never would have been able to make into the temple, the fire temples, fire sages temple thing. He never would have been able to make it in there. The story, we wouldn't have any story, like any real anything, if it weren't for Momo crawling through those pipes and assisting. And he's also, dropped off, picked up a sword, and wait, was it a sword? He's can't remember now. He's helped grab multiple things, either a sword or a staff or food. He's been a funny, lighthearted kind of comic relief in a way. He really was a big character in the influence that he had. I mean, he was even there in like those crazy dreams that Sokka had when he drank the cactus juice. Like, I love that. Honestly, he deserves A tier. He deserves A tier. Appa is a tank, so he deserves it, and he obviously deserves it. But Momo, I feel like Momo, given his size, really had to... Like, he had to be a really likable character. Otherwise he's just like a pet that no one cares about. He really was useful. Key in certain episodes. He deserves the A position, and I challenge you to fight me on that because it's Momo. He literally deserves A tier. Alright, next we have the Fire Lord. Yeah, honestly... I want to say C tier because you don't really see him much, and when you do see him, he's winning or he's having big influence, and then he ultimately gets stamped out. Everything leads to him, so it's kind of hard to be the thing that everyone's thinking about for seasons and seasons and seasons. Everyone's thinking about the Fire Lord, Fire Lord, Fire Lord. Oh, God, you really can't be drinking garbage water when you're doing a freaking video. But yeah, I think it's tough to be Fire Lord Ozai, I think it is. Because, yeah, he didn't really, he didn't really change. He just was this evil guy that was hyped up for seasons, and then he eventually lost, which is what everyone hoped for. So, it's tough. It's not really his fault that he's in C tier. The story put him in C tier. He could never be above C tier. It's not his fault. His bending is cool, but ultimately, there's probably a more skilled bender. He just had superpowered bending. That was it. Like, at a certain point in time, he had superpowered bending, but so did every other firebender. He didn't have particularly, specific skills. Honestly, Sparky Sparky Boom Man, aka Combustion Man, he was more of a threat, at least visually speaking, or had the potential. Like, on a day-to-day basis, Combustion Man is more of a threat than Fire Lord. Now, Fire Lord, the Fire Lord did use lightning on his son, Zuko. He did do that, so he does have some, abilities, but the fact that his daughter has Azula, it doesn't, he's not unique, he's not anything. He's just the big bad guy, and he never had a chance to be great. He just isn't great. I'm sorry. Next, we have that water teacher guy, the old traditional kind of guy. He was okay. He was more of an obstacle than anything. He did help with the story. I'm just gonna leave him in D tier because he really wasn't so impactful that he's like just I don't know. He really wasn't all that good. I hate to say it, but the bending fight. Okay, look, I'm gonna put him up to C tier because of the cool bending fight that he had with Katara. And it doesn't really matter that he would have been, Katara's great-grandfather or whatever. That doesn't really matter. He was a backwards old man who liked the old ways and didn't care for women being in the war. Which, culturally, that's culture. That's a culture thing. That's not just something he pulled out of his ass. It's a culture thing. Can you really blame him? It's a culture. He was born into that culture. He's not the king. He was born into the culture. So, it's tough when you want to make comments on culture when your culture is different because your culture is different. Anyway, so I'm going to put him in C tier. Ultimately, he was a little bit of a, cantankerous old man, but ultimately, he was not that bad, to be honest. So, C tier. Moving on, you have the Master, Master something, who taught, was it Master... I almost said Master Peacock, and definitely not that. So the master who taught Sokka how to be a sword-slinging badass, he's pretty good. We're going to put him in B tier because he was a teacher. It's funny, aside from the water guy, all these terrible names, these, I don't know. I'm going to say that he deserves B tier because Sokka, ultimately, you know what? I think I just like him. I think I just like his story. And you can't really hate him. He never did anything bad in the story from what we know. We just know that, he's Fire Nation and he likes to use swords and he's a master and he took on Sokka knowing he was a water tribe, knowing he was with the Avatar. He knew, ultimately we find out later, that he's one of the, sages or whatever the White Lotus people or whatever. So, that's cool. He was a member of the White Lotus, which does bump him up. Which is same for I forget the firebending teacher guy. He was a member of the White Lotus, same for Iroh. So I'm putting almost all the White Lotus members in B because they do have a certain impact on the team, either all throughout the story or at certain points in the story, but then ultimately at the end when the White Lotus kind of appear as a group and you can see, oh my god, that's them. So, he definitely deserves B tier. It's cool to be a badass without powers, but skill. That is cool. So I really like that. Next we have Roku. Oop, didn't mean to put him in D tier. Wait, is that Roku? Is that Roku? Yeah, Avatar Roku, I'm pretty sure is what I'm looking at there. Is that Roku? Or that old... It is Roku. Honestly, Roku left Aang with a freaking mess. Roku, you messed up. You messed up in a big way. He was influential throughout the story. Was he a favorite of mine? It's so tough. I guess B tier. Because, he's as influential as Kyoshi, but honestly, more so in a bad way. So it's I don't know. We're going to leave him at B tier. Next, we have Sokka. I personally really love Sokka. I want to put him at S tier. He's a between A and S. I really love Sokka. I'm gonna leave him at S because he's a personal pick. These are all picks, but this is a personal pick. I really like Sokka. I like his character development. I like everything about his story, even though he's a little ignorant in the beginning. You see him become better and better over time. You see him feeling sad and frustrated and lost and hurt and overcome these things. So he's just a very well-rounded character, much more so than Aang, in my opinion. So S tier, Sokka S tier. Next, we have the old, was it Fire Lord? What was it? I forget his name. Fire Lord Ozai, and I can't remember the previous Fire Lord, but we're gonna put him in D tier because he sucks. I forget all the different Fire Lord names. Not Ozai, but yeah, no. Forget him. Don't want. Don't put him in D tier. Honestly, you were just only shown as a bad guy. You were never shown as a good guy. You barely see him on screen, and when you do, actually, you see him being friends with young Roku, best friends, and yeah, honestly, he went corrupt eventually. He got corrupt eventually. But I liked him. I did like him. Eventually he became corrupt, though. Which is tough, because Iroh was good, was bad who turned good, and this, Fire Lord, I guess Iroh's father, was good turned bad? Almost. Not really fair to him to put him in D. I'm going to put him in C, because of his level of influence on the story. He started the hell that is the story long ago. You know what I mean? Like, he literally is the reason for this. So, but as a character, we don't really know too much about him. We just know the influence that he had. So, which is same, yeah. You know what? I'm comfortable with leaving him there. That's fair. We'll leave him at C tier. Next, honestly, he's basically like the same. Damn. We're going to leave him at C. Next, we have the Kyoshi Warriors. Okay, this is obviously, I forget her name. Suki is her name. The Warriors themselves are B tier. Her specifically, she's an A tier, but ultimately, really, they're all B tier. Suki, damn. I like her. She's pretty. I gotta put her in B tier out of respect. She's great. I don't know if I can put her in A alongside Aang and Katara. That's the thing. She is a great B tier character. She's like really, really up there. And I'll leave it at that. I mainly just have a crush on her, though, I'm not gonna lie. Next we have the boy. We're gonna put him down in D tier. The boy who was the son of the guy. He was in the wheelchair, and he was able to fly around using the air currents, living up in the refurbished air temple, which is cool, but he didn't really have much of any impact. Just he was a device to help Aang learn more about his people and what happened to the temple, and ultimately he really wasn't that important of a character, so I want to leave him at D tier. Not because he's a bad kid or any other reason, just he wasn't really all that important to the story. So D tier. Next you have the Boulder! The Boulder! Oh, I just ripped my freaking shirt. The Boulder! Alright, I look less bouldery now that I look at my... Anyway, he's a B tier? Am I really putting the Boulder in B tier alongside all of these very impactful people, much more so than him? Yes, because no, damn it, he's got to be C tier. I love him. My heart says he's A tier, hilarious, A tier enemy for what he was. Mwah. But ultimately, what he really was in the entire story, not really all that important. So, important for, Toph's development, important in that way, establishing, like the whole underground earthbending fighting and all that. Like, that's cool, but little aspects of the entire show don't really add up to being so influential that a couple episodes equals like being as important as an A or B or S, A or B type, character. So we're gonna leave him at C, but I love him. If you had to if I had to choose between the Boulder and Cabbage Man, come on, you know what I'm choosing. Next, you have, who the heck is this? The little archer, another Jet team member guy. I don't even know. I barely remember you. I'm gonna put you down in D tier because I don't really care much for you, to be honest. Don't really care. Don't really care about you. Toph. I feel like everybody probably puts her in S tier. Toph is pretty badass. I don't really want to put her in S tier though. I don't really want to put her in S tier. I'm gonna put her in A tier. Her bending is S tier. She has a lot of S tier moments. A lot. She teaches Aang earthbending. She has a lot of S tier moments. But is she really an S tier character? No. Oh, that's tough. I'm getting goosebumps saying this because I know that part of my blood is going cold because my body doesn't believe that I just did that, but I just did that. Next, we have Ty Lee, who is a cute little cutie. We're going to put her in B tier because she's influential and not really, though. Honestly, she's a C type. She's not really all that important. She does introduce some new concepts, chi blocking or whatever, blocking, stopping people, from bending, and then that, eventually that concept bleeds into Korra, the Legend of Korra. So it's cool that the concept of stopping someone's bending carries over, and she is, her ability is S tier. Her character is C tier. But I don't want to put her in B tier alongside the Kyoshi Warriors, Roku, Kyoshi, Longfang. She's not as influential as them. So unfortunately, she has to be in C. But the fact that she can stop someone from bending is an S tier ability. That is, no one else can do that. No one else can do. I'm thinking of Neji, but that would be a different show entirely. Obviously, Zuko and Azula's mom. She's D tier. You never see her. Not really much to report on her. It's more so her absence is what drives the main characters, not her presence. So her presence did affect young Zuko and young Azula, and ultimately there are some flashbacks to the mom in the end of the show with Azula facing Katara and losing her mind. So, but ultimately she really wasn't so impactful, so much so that she deserves to be higher than a D or higher than these other characters, because she really was barely even there. So as far as screen time and actual influence, she's impactful, but not really like these other characters are. So D tier, I don't feel bad putting her down there. Zuko, oh man, Zuko's another A tier character. I don't know if I'm just wanting to hate on him or what it is, but I just don't like him as much. I don't know. He's great. Zuko deserves S tier, but I don't know if I want to put him in S tier. I think I want to leave him in A, to be honest. Next we have, he was a decently enough written character. I don't know. I'm gonna leave him in A because he's amazing. But actually, I don't even want to say he's amazing. He's just good. He's what he is. He's Zuko. He does change in a big way. He does have a lot of character development, so I want to give him that. But I don't want to put him in any S tier. He's just, you don't need character development to be S tier. But I just don't like him so much to where he's an S tier. He's not so uniquely impactful or different. He's just, again, along for the ride. We need a bad guy, and he's good enough to be an A, but not some S tier. I think that's fair. The owl thing in the Wang Shitong's library. It's funny, I can remember Wang Shitong library, but I can't remember the teacher or half of these characters' names. Yeah, we're gonna do D tier. He was scary. He scared me as a kid, actually. I was actually, like, scared to see him, which is kind of why I want to put him in D, because it's just, you don't see him unless it's, like, a scary looming of danger, and that's all I'm thinking about, is danger and scariness, so... But, yeah, he was just an antagonist for one... Yeah, I think D is fine. His concept was cool, but you don't see him beyond one episode, so that's why he's forgettable. If they had kept him around in a couple of other episodes, maybe had like a random appearance or something, that would be cool. But they had a really like cool concept to have a dark creature guarding this hidden library. That's cool. The concept is B tier, maybe even A. But ultimately, impact to the story and all that, just, you know. I'm gonna put him in C. Nah, I'm gonna put the library in B tier and the actual, the Foxy helpers are in C tier. The library itself are in B tier, and the owl is just in D tier because he's just a condescending owl, and you know, screw him. Nice. Alright, next we have Commander Zhao, another character that somehow I remember their name. Zhao, we're going to put him in C tier. He was more influential than the Boulder, more influential than Sparky Sparky Boom Man. He made a lot of, you know what? He deserves B tier. He was pretty impactful to this story. We're going to put him in B tier. He pops up a lot. He affects a lot of the main characters. I like him. You know what? I'm confused. Whoever made this tier list, you didn't put any of the pirates on here. Why didn't you put the pirate guys? The pirate, I would have put them at least in B tier, you know. That would have been cool. But it's alright. We have who is this guy? I forget. Some shifty Earth Kingdom guy? I don't even remember who he is. Oh, he was the teacher, right? Was he like the earthbending teacher that you discover? Like he was giving up, you know, like deals for his earthbending classes or whatever to Aang in the beginning. I think that was the earthbending teacher. Honestly, D tier, forgettable. Next we have, who is this guy? Who is this guy? I forgot him entirely. I don't remember. Sorry, I really don't remember him at all. So I'm going to put him in C tier because I honestly don't remember who he was or what he did to deserve a high or low position. I forget who he is. My bad. I'm just going to type in oh, wait a minute. He was one of the guys who was hunting Toph. I remember him now. He really wasn't all that important to the story, to be honest. He was just a hired gun. So I'm going to pop him down in D tier. I remember him. It was cool. He was there when we learned about metal bending. That was cool. But was he like a badass in and of himself? Like, no, not really. And last but not least, honestly, I don't know where to put Princess Yue. She became the moon. She got life from the moon. She, as a concept, her life, very cool. She helped the spirits. That was very cool. It's not like I don't like that. Like, that's cool. She helped with, you know, Sokka's character development, falling in love, having to give up yet another person who he loves, except he had romantic love for her. Honestly, she's a C tier character. She wasn't that important. Her concept was cool. You know, Wang Shitong Library, cool. The Jet story, cool. Like, there's a lot of cool concepts that were discussed, but just because they introduced particular characters doesn't mean that those characters were really so amazingly impactful that they deserve to be higher up on the tier list, which is why Princess Yue, I'm just going to leave her in C tier, though honestly, she's beautiful. She became the moon. In that respect, she's an S tier. And one last comment for the S tier. I stand by Hama. I stand by King Boomy. I stand by Mei, because I'm simping, honestly. And I stand by Sokka, because I think we can all agree that he had wicked character development, and he's just... I love him. I really do. I see myself a lot in Sokka, and he's cool. I mean, he is a very relatable person, and I love that so much. Alright, that is my Avatar The Last Airbender tier list. No, I didn't take any of these photos. I used somebody else's tier list, and many characters are missing, unfortunately, but we're not going to spend 3 hours. You know, I've already spent an hour and a half in this video. We're not going to do 3 hours doing every other side character that's ever existed. But one character, an honorable mention, I would have put in possibly B tier, was the psychic lady who, Madam whatever her name was it Madam Wu? It may have been Madam Wu. Whoever she was cool, she was impactful, she was an interesting character, though not so crazy important that she needed to be S or A tier. I probably would put her in C tier, actually. But with that being said, I am going to get going. Thank you guys so much for watching. And by the way, did you like it? Comment below. I don't know if these types of videos are going to live here on the Davon Raymond X YouTube channel. If they do, maybe I'll just do a specific type of like cool looking thumbnail to differentiate the anime content from like the vlogs or surfing content. Is it worth it? Should I just make a full new channel? You guys let me know. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some lava rocks to go by. Tastes like filth.